everybody. Welcome to Big Balls Fantasy Football, the show with powerful picks, sexy super fans, and that's really fun. I'm your host, 22-year fantasy veteran, Greg Reifsteck.
And I'm your co-host, a 12-year fantasy veteran, Jenilee, and together we are the beauty
and the beast
of fantasy football experts.
We are finally at week 1. That means we get to have fun with our lineups that we have drafted in every single one of our leagues. I am in 3 this year. Jenilee, how many are you in?
I'm in 3 as well this year, the same as last year, so I think that's my magic spot. Don't really want to do more, and 2's not really enough, so I like being in 3 leagues. We know that a lot of you are joining us for the first time this season, so we've been around for a little while now. If you don't know, this is our little mascot, Zoe.
Hey, Zoe.
Because she likes to join the show once in a while. So.
Well, she's our good luck charm, aren't you? Aren't you? There we go. She's such a cutie. So we're in week 1 and you finally get to play those awesome lineups. We are going to get into our strategies in a moment, but as we said, we are diehard Bears fans and we are going to tell you about the horrible kind of in-between dismal situation of fantasy in Chicago. I will tell you about Jay Cutler later, who of course I see him on a lot of waiver wires out there, and there isn't a lot of hope out there because there's really nobody from the past too. You have White, who we were at the draft and actually got to see get drafted, and who knows, maybe he was gimpy then. We don't know. But anyway, he got hurt in preseason. He's out at least 6 weeks. Hopefully by the modern miracle of sports science, he will come on sooner and maybe we'll get him in week 4 because we really need him. Alshon Jeffrey is in a gimpy spot right now. He's probably going to start for you week 1. I know I have him in my lineup and I really want him to start. But the position I'm sure you want to talk about is our solid position running back.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about in our earlier shows, our draft shows, that Matt Forte is really the guy to go with because the Bears are going to be running the ball a lot more, as we know, this year with the new coaching staff and everything with John Fox. So look for Matt Forte to go off. Alshon did not practice on Monday, I know for sure. So he is questionable for week 1. We're not sure yet if he's going to go. Marquise Wilson looks like he's going to go. Eddie Royal should go. But still, wide receiver core is a little bit thin. They were injured throughout preseason. And then the other person I want to talk about that you absolutely have to get in your lineup as well is tight end Martellus Bennett.
Of course.
Because he's going to be the guy that Cutler is very, very comfortable with throwing to. And so he should do really well for you this week.
Yeah, I've been on one of my teams, and I can't wait to play him. I'm just licking my chops. It's going to be so good. So let's get down to week 1 strategies. By the way, we'll tell you about our app in a minute. Both of our guys on the app, we have 2 guys that do blogs. We have Cash and we have Prost. And one of them is a Bears fan, one of them is a Packer fan. And they already have up on our app exclusive blogs that are going to give you some week 1 strategies. But we're going to give you our week 1 strategies as well. Why don't we have ladies first, and why don't you tell us what you like to do going into week 1?
Okay, well, I absolutely like to start my key players that I drafted in the first few rounds in each position. So your running back, your wide receivers, your top-notch guys, obviously your first-string quarterback if you did draft 2 of them. Those are the guys that I like to go with unless they're injured, of course. But, you know, you drafted those guys high for a reason. You drafted them mentally to be your starters for a reason. So those are the guys that you have to go with. Week 1 is always a little bit crazy because teams have new players. They have new coaches. They are in new systems sometimes. So there's a lot of change that goes on in the NFL, as we know, in the off season. But you got to stick to the guys that you did your research on and you drafted early. Again, unless they're injured. And then check out and wait. I always say wait for the first few weeks, even maybe the first month in the season to see how your bench does before you start trading out players, unless you have to trade them out because of injury, of course.
Right. I'm totally with you. I used to be a total waiver wire whore and just go on there and just start trading people out right away. I have my solid lineups, but the thing I like to do before week 1, and I've already done it, is really start jumping on that waiver wire right after you start hearing about those cuts. I ended up picking up the backup Atlanta running back who's now their starting running back. So all these things start shifting right after all the cuts are made. So it's always good to go look at the waiver wire. Yes, of course, you're going to start your awesome people. You're going to start your stars. You have to start your stars. But you want to pick up people for your bench. Those people that just might be your sleepers come week 2 or week 3 when you do get an injury week 1 or you do get an injury week 2, especially at the running back position. That's the one thing I like to do. I really like to pad my running back position because that's what you want to put in your flex. That's going to get you the most points. What do you like to put in your flex?
I like to put either running back or wide receiver, just depending on how my draft went. So I know in a couple of my leagues, I'm a little more stacked at wide receiver. So I'm going to be throwing wide receivers in that position. So it just depends what position you stacked a little bit more. And then another thing that's good to do the first week or 2 of the season, of course, is to look on your waiver wire and star the players that you're curious about so that you can go back right away and see how they're doing, look at their stats right away. Then you have those players already, starred so that they're easy to find if you do want to try to pick them up. But as we know, the first month of the season really is very interesting in fantasy because of the fact that the starters don't get a lot of time playing in preseason. So, it's been talked about that the first month of the season is almost like preseason nowadays, where teams don't get going. You can't really tell how it's going to end up all in the end in the first month. So, just go with your strategy. If you lose your week 1 or week 2 matchup, don't stress out about it. Things fall in line and you get the pace a lot better after the first 2 to 4 weeks, I think.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because that's exactly what Prost and Cash get into, all about week 1. One of them definitely has a strategy about the fact that, you just have to be patient. The other one has a strategy about, week 1 is just like a clean slate. Either you can't even look at last year's stats because of all the new systems, because of all the new coaching, because of all the new systems. You just have to kind of be lucky. There's fantasy, everybody out there that's new to our show, it's 50% skill, it's 50% luck. Last year, in the week 1 or in week 2, even in week 3, most of the key running backs went completely to hell. So all of those wonderful week 1, round 1 rather picks, all went by the wayside, and you had to put in fill-ins. So, go with it. Exactly. You just kind of got to go with the flow, go with your gut, and hope for a lot of luck.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people about the app where they can find these awesome blogs?
Oh, hell yeah. You can go to the Apple Store or you can go to the Google Play Store, and we have, all you got to do is type in Big Balls Fantasy Football. We are the second app that comes up. There's some game that you can play, some, fun little game that probably 14-year-olds play first, but we are second on there. Just download us. You're going to get Cash's blog. You're going to get Prost's blog. They are exclusive only on the app. That's the only place you can get them. Then you're going to go to Player Updates. That's when Jenilee and I come in, and we're going to give you, during the games, player updates. We're going to be sitting there on Sunday, plugging it in, making sure before that second set of games, you don't get screwed on those injuries. And why don't you tell us about the rest of the features on there?
Yeah, absolutely. You can, of course, watch our show with our picks straight from the app. And we do push notifications, so if you have that feature turned on your phone, you get those injuries sent right there. And then you can see all of our awesome photos. You can go straight to our social media. But one of my favorite features is the lineup questions.
Yes.
You can send us your lineup questions individually, and we can email you back of who we think you should play that week. So that is just an awesome feature that is only on the app. And very easy to access. So, of course, like I was talking about, you can find our social media on the app, or you can go to...
You can definitely go to @BigBallsFBall. Follow us on Twitter. You can go to BigBallsFantasyFootball.com, our website. We have everything there, too. But we really want to push you towards the app because we can't send push notifications from our website. We can send them from the app. If If you download the app and you're in the middle of a game and you're sitting there agonizing, is Arian Foster going to be well? Am I going to really gamble on Reggie Bush? You can get those notifications. You'll know who in your second games is going in. And of course, you can just type in Big Balls Fantasy Football on Facebook, and we will just pop up. We are the only one on there, and you will have us on Facebook. But we're not posting a lot of stuff on Facebook anymore because Facebook, we love you, Facebook. We love you, we love you. But the only way we get out to all of you is through our app. Facebook is just limited, and we only get out to the way their logarithms work now. You have to buy an ad only to send out to all of your people, and we can't get to all of you. So we want to get to all of you. So if you download the app, we can definitely get to all of you.
Absolutely. And even if you download the app, still follow us on social media because you will end up getting everything.
Yep.
That's the best way to get everything is to just follow us everywhere, get the app, and we'll be right at your fingertips.
Especially sexy pictures of Jenilee and of Ashley, who you haven't seen on an episode yet. Well, all of you people that have been watching have seen her on a few episodes, but she's going to be doing our Represent segment. We are going to be in week 1. We're going to be at the Steelers Bar this week, the brand new Steelers Bar in Hollywood at the Outpost. They've moved over for another bar. We're going to be covering opening game, NFL kickoff. It's going to be huge. So Ashley and I are going to be all over the Steelers, but the Represent segments are going to be huge this season. We're going to be covering a lot of Seahawks. We're going to be covering a lot of Dallas, a lot of Steelers. And of course, our Bears at the Tin Horn. We will be there week 1, and we won't miss our opening segment that we do every year, will we?
No, not at all. Our Bears start off with the Packers, which is an unfortunate way to start the season. So that was one thing I was going to mention when we were talking Bears, is I think you will see the Bears defense improve a lot over the season, but don't look for them to start fast. I just don't see them being phenomenal in the first few games, but I think you will see them progress quite well throughout the season. So fingers crossed on that.
Transition year. Transition year. Okay. I got it out of my system. All right. We are going to bring you, of course, our Real Men segment and Beasting Out segments respectfully. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.